There are still places on Earth where roads simply stop existing. No highways, no traffic, no gas stations, no cars rushing through crowded streets. Just mountains, silence, water, and a small village completely disconnected from the modern world. At first it sounds peaceful, almost beautiful. But the reality is far more complicated. Because living in a village with no roads means something most people have forgotten how to imagine: isolation. Real isolation. The kind where bad weather can trap you for days. Where supplies arrive by boat. Where medical emergencies become terrifying. And where leaving home is never as simple as opening your car door. This is the story of villages that modern civilization never fully reached. And honestly, places like this force an uncomfortable question. Did modern life make us freer or just more dependent? Most people assume roads are automatic, permanent, part of civilization itself. But for most of human history, roads were rare. People moved through rivers, mountains, forests, and oceans using whatever nature allowed. And in some places, that never truly changed. Across parts of Alaska, Norway, Canada, and remote regions of the world, small communities still exist without direct road access. Some can only be reached by boat, others by helicopter. Some become nearly impossible to access during winter. And while social media often romanticizes these places, the reality is much harsher than the aesthetic images suggest. Because isolation stops being cute very quickly when survival becomes difficult. Take the tiny village of Supai in Arizona, one of the most isolated communities in the United States. No roads connect it to the outside world. Mail is still carried by mule through the canyon. Think about that. In one of the richest and most technologically advanced countries on Earth, mail deliveries still happen using animals because the terrain is too extreme for roads. And honestly, there's something strangely humbling about that. Modern society likes to pretend technology conquered nature completely, but these villages are proof that geography still wins sometimes. Mountains decide, oceans decide, weather decides, not humans. And nowhere is that more obvious than during winter. In remote Alaskan communities, frozen conditions can completely isolate villages for days or even weeks. Food deliveries become uncertain. Fuel becomes critical. Power outages become dangerous. People stockpile supplies because help may not arrive quickly. That reality changes the psychology of daily life completely. People become more self-reliant. Communities become tighter. Neighbors matter more. Because when civilization is physically distant, other people become your safety net. And honestly, that may be one of the biggest things modern cities lost. In large urban centers, millions of people live beside each other while barely knowing their neighbors. But in isolated villages, community isn't optional. It's survival. People help repair homes, share resources, watch out for each other during storms and emergencies. And while life there is harder in many ways, some residents say modern cities feel emotionally colder by comparison. Not physically colder, emotionally colder. And maybe they have a point. Because despite all our technology, modern life often feels strangely disconnected. Endless notifications, constant noise, permanent stress. People surrounded by crowds while feeling completely alone. Meanwhile, some remote villages without roads still preserve something many modern societies lost long ago: human closeness. But that doesn't mean life there is easy. Far from it. Medical emergencies remain one of the biggest dangers. Imagine needing urgent hospital care while trapped behind mountains, storms, or frozen water. In some places, helicopters become the only lifeline. And if weather conditions are bad, people simply wait. That reality becomes terrifying very quickly, especially for families with children or elderly residents. Education can also become difficult. In some isolated villages, children travel enormous distances by boat or snowmobile just to attend school. Internet connections remain unstable. Jobs are limited. Young people often leave searching for more opportunities elsewhere. And slowly, many of these villages begin shrinking. Because modern economies are built around connectivity. Roads create trade. Trade creates growth. Growth attracts people. Without roads, many communities struggle to survive economically. And this is where the romantic image of isolation starts colliding with reality. A lot of people online fantasize about escaping civilization completely, living alone in nature, disconnecting from society. But most have never experienced true isolation, not the real version. Not the version where supplies become uncertain, winters become dangerous, and help may be hours or days away. Isolation changes people psychologically, sometimes positively, sometimes not. Some residents describe incredible peace. Others describe loneliness so intense it becomes emotionally exhausting. Because humans were never designed to live completely disconnected from the world. And yet, there's still something deeply fascinating about these villages. Maybe because they represent resistance against the speed of modern life. Places where nature still controls the rhythm of existence, where weather matters more than notifications, where silence still exists, real silence, the kind most modern humans almost never experience anymore. And honestly, that silence can feel unsettling at first. No traffic, no distant sirens, no endless background noise, just wind, water, trees, and your own thoughts. For some people that sounds peaceful. For others it sounds terrifying. Perhaps that's why villages without roads feel so mysterious to modern audiences. Because they expose something uncomfortable. How dependent modern civilization actually became. Most people today cannot survive without infrastructure, without roads, without deliveries, without systems operating constantly in the background. The modern world feels powerful until those systems disappear. And in isolated villages, people understand that reality better than anyone because they live closer to nature's rules, closer to uncertainty, closer to vulnerability, but maybe also closer to each other.